Okay, so we made it to episode 1. The first one. You good?
Yeah.
You still nervous?
Yeah.
You don't have to be nervous.
Well, I'm with a pro.
I'm not a pro.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm not a pro.
3 years more than me.
That's not being a pro. That's just
Okay.
doing something. Welcome to episode 1 of While She's Napping. We are lying to you. She's not napping. She's actually down for her sleep. But maybe we should have just called it While She's Sleeping.
I was thinking the same thing today.
But While She's Napping has a better ring to it.
It does. Mm-hmm.
So we tried to do an episode earlier this week on the coronavirus, and that fell flat. I think it's because no one really wants to talk about the coronavirus, and because I don't really, obviously it's affecting us, but I don't really have a passion towards it when it comes to this project, I guess you can say, even though it's sort of ubiquitous through everything that we do.
Well, it definitely wasn't on our radar when we were first thinking about doing this. It's totally new, so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm a little bit overwhelmed by it and would like to think about and talk about something else maybe.
What's the
For a
point?
change. Yeah.
I think a lot of people want to not constantly hear and talk about it too. So, but that was episode practice run 1. That won't be released. I don't know why I'm even talking about it, but I did learn from it. So we should probably talk about who we are and why we're doing this first to sort of introduce what we're doing. So why don't you go ahead and take that?
Okay. We are a married couple, and we are both full-time working parents of a almost 2-year-old.
Whose name we won't mention.
And yeah, we tend to not have a lot of time to talk to each other and really have conversations about topics that are of interest to us because of how busy we are. And so, yeah, we decided why not just talk about it in front of everybody.
Well, first of all, so we just said we're not going to mention our daughter's name. That sort of intertwines in the conversation piece topic we're going to discuss today. But also, so we have a lot of friends that listened to the trailer and gave some constructive feedback. Mostly saying that we should have stuck with the cool music that I picked out.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But I want to assure people that, we may be close to that are listening to this, that we aren't going to call out anyone's relationship. We're not going to call out anybody's, name in particular. We're not going to talk about people specifically because, one, people that don't know us and don't know who you are aren't going to really know what the fuck we're talking about. And 2, if that's just not right. It's not right. So if anybody thought we were going to call anybody out or compare things or talk about things in our personal life, specifically about you guys and, using your names, that's not going to happen. So that's really important that we talk about this and get that out of the way. But yeah, basically what we wanted to do, so I as many of you probably listening, because that's how I promote this, I do have another podcast, and it's predominantly from people that listen from Canada. I've been talking about sports for the past 3 years on a podcast, and I've been super thirsty and hungry to talk about things that are sort of unsports related, to have that sort of conversation, that sort of medium in audio. So who better to do it than with my wife? So yeah, I don't know if you want to elaborate on that.
Yeah, I guess talking about whether or not we're going to mention, or the fact that we're just not going to mention people by name, and respect that privacy of the people that we know, kind of really is related to this broader topic we're going to talk about today, about how we feel about social media, and specifically social media related to parenting, and how we have chosen to deal with social media and our child. Do you want to?
Well, basically, like it's important to note that there is no incorrect or correct stance on this.
Right. We're talking about what we've chosen after, talking to each other about it and evaluating what we think is best for us and our family. But it's not a judgment or reflection on anyone who decides to do things differently.
Right. I do think that there is a level of overuse when it comes to social media. And I think that's been well documented that there is a level of like just over reliance and dependence on social media. And obviously it's the way we are connecting with people and it's the way we function right now. So is she standing up?
Yep.
Oh my God. We're watching our child on the baby monitor and she's standing up.
And I'm actually afraid that she's getting to the point where she might start trying to climb out of her crib because she was trying to climb out of the pack and play during timeout today. So
She'll
that's
fall
what
down.
I'm keeping an eye on that.
She'll fall down. Anyways, so there's a level of
And
overuse.
she's down.
Yeah, there's a level of dependence and overuse with social media. And I think that's, we all know who that person is in our life. That's sort of just like, Facebook status after Facebook status and tweets and just whatever. But
well, and that also is a relative viewpoint because that comes from two people who very rarely use social media. And we only use it for pretty specific things. Yeah. So we're kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum.
Well, this is also a contradiction because what we're doing is a form of social media right now.
Is it?
Well, it's media. And
yeah, but it's
out
not
there.
social. It's not the same at all.
I mean, people can't interact with us
right.
in real time.
Yeah, I don't think it's considered social media.
Regardless.
But we will be interacting with people on social media about this. So,
right.
But again, that's for a specific purpose. And it's not, to tell people what we had for lunch.
Okay. So on that note, that's a pretty good segue into it. So basically when it comes to, if anybody's listening, that's a parent, again, I'm not calling anybody's parenting skills out. If you don't operate the way we choose to operate, you are surely not doing anything wrong. We don't think you're doing anything wrong. I think that there is no right or wrong on this. It's a matter of preference. So basically, how we chose to handle social media with our child, we decided to do this way before she was born, and it got a little confusing with the parents. And even like when I brought this up to you initially, and I'm not calling you out or anything, you initially offered some resistance to it.
Mm-hmm.
But then I sort of laid out why I didn't want to, have basically our child on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Like, we don't post pictures of our child at all in the main sort of avenues of social media, the main venues being, mediums being Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We don't do it.
And we're not cool enough to know about Snapchat or TikTok or any of the others. So we don't even have those accounts.
In my limited understanding of it, it's all, it's finite. Right.
I have no idea.
So it's from my limited understanding of those two mediums is that they're sort of like an Instagram story. They only last.
Oh, they're temporary.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whereas Instagram,
it's immortalized.
It's on there forever. So basically, when before she was born, I was like, look, I don't really feel comfortable having our child's picture on social media, and it was twofold. One's a little bit more important than the other. Actually, it's threefold. So the first one is that I'm scared. Now, when I first found out we were having a girl, I was scared to death of diddlers, and I don't want, I don't know, I don't know how shareable things are on social media. It's so beyond me now that I don't know who's looking at it and then wanting to prey on my daughter. I know that's so far-fetched.
So the translation is we listen to way too many true crime podcasts.
Well, that, and it's just I feel like your senses are a little heightened when you have a girl.
I don't know about that. I feel like my senses would be, it's just parental instinct. Maybe it's different for you as a dad, but I don't think it would have mattered to me.
And that's just sort of I don't want to say it's my least concern, but it's definitely the least thoughtful concern. In other words, that's just No diddlers, that's it. Like it
Well,
didn't really need
the
to
likelihood of that actually happening is extremely low. It's not something you want to ignore, but the reality is it's likely not going to be an issue.
I hope not.
Yeah, I mean that statistically,
I
it's
mean,
very
we live in a
unlikely.
pretty rural town.
Not really.
There's a lot of.
This is your version of rural.
I mean, in Rhode Island, it's rural.
Oh, you grew up in Providence, so I guess I can see that.
Whatever. Secondly, and this is the main reason, and I guess it, like, look, I'm not trying to diminish gender equality. I'm not trying to label anything about differences in genders. I'm just saying, for me, as a male, I didn't have self-confidence issues derivative from social media. I didn't grow up in that time when that was the thing. I feel, based on nothing, that it's harder to be a girl in the age of social media than it is for it to be a guy. I feel like the standards of beauty and the standards of acceptance for a girl are a lot higher than a guy normally in society, and social media sort of cranks that to 20.
Yeah, I think if you're just talking about
appearance
beauty
alone,
standards,
yes.
yeah, I just want to point out that there's a lot of other, it's not just a gender difference. There's, anyone who's in the LGBT plus community is also dealing with that, amplified on social media, and bullying and all that goes across
I'm saying
the board.
in a base level here.
Just talking about
just a base level.
Okay.
Like what a male and a female go through in terms of just like all that aside, and I'm not discounting that, I'm not discrediting that, I'm not even saying that doesn't matter, because it certainly does. I'm saying from my limited understanding of social media and the effects that it has on young people today, I feel like the standards of beauty for a female are a lot higher and a lot more unreachable than they are for a male.
Well, I think that's been true even before social media, but you're saying that social media has amplified that impact.
Sure.
Because it's in your face all the time, and people are more accessible to be bullied, in the case of children, like outside of school hours and 24/7. Yeah.
So my goal on this was to sort of nip it in the bud early and establish a level of confidence for our daughter from the jump. So basically my stance on this and my observations on this is that when you post pictures of your baby as a toddler or as a newborn or as an infant, whatever, you're going to get a shit ton of likes, a shit ton of loves, a shit ton of comments. So, and that's forever, like we said. So when we just announced that our baby was born, we, again, didn't post a picture. We just announced, like, hey, she's arrived, a little dramatically. But she's here. And we got a lot of, obviously, a lot of love and a lot of comments and a lot of requests for pictures, and we sort of just ignored them. But that sort of establishes a baseline for me of value, of worth in the eyes of the child. So my fear is that when she's able to sort of navigate social media on her own, maybe when she's like 13 or whatever, it's probably going to be earlier, let's be honest. But
yeah, I imagine so.
If when she does that and she posts something like a picture of herself and she gets like 5 or 6 likes, I'm worried that she's going to reflect back on the post when she was young, when she was a baby, and she's like, hey, I see that, I got hundreds of comments and hundreds of likes when I was a baby doing, just mundane shit. But here I'm trying to be like, whatever, I don't know how teenagers think anymore, like artistic or whatever. And it means the world to her, whatever she's posting. I got 5 or 6 likes. It must mean people don't like me. It must mean there's something wrong with me.
Well, I don't think it's not like she's going to be actively going back and looking at old posts and making direct comparisons. But I think it would just be, it's more a matter of setting that standard as being
likes don't equal value,
right? But and I think that is something that would just be ingrained as just the way that she views the world. Like, just if we were constantly taking pictures and posting them on social media and going back and looking and say, oh, look, so and so said you look so cute or whatever, and like just drawing her attention. Why is she
saying I look cute now?
Well, I don't even think she's going to make that direct connection to comparing to old pictures or old posts, but I just think it sets the foundation for what she expects from social media, of it being a constant presence.
Right. Well, and so like that sort of establishes a sense of value.
Sorry, there are limbs sticking out of the crib on the monitor here.
She's all right. She's fine. That automatically establishes a sense of value, and that was my biggest fear and takeaway of trying to eliminate the social media aspect, because I didn't want her to equate her self-value and her self-worth as an individual, and to a certain degree as a woman, to likes and to comments. And I feel like that is, in a broader sense, that is what is happening with a lot of people. Like, a lot of people put something on Facebook or on Instagram, and I'm sure if there are younger listeners listening to me, I probably sound like a fucking old hag, but like, because I don't, Facebook and Instagram probably aren't cool anymore. But like, when they post stuff, I've literally heard people saying, why aren't people commenting on this? Why aren't people liking this? Why is it void of any activity? And to me, there's something up with that. I don't want to say wrong.
It becomes an issue when it seems like it's there's a dependence on it for validation.
I don't know if dependence is the right word. I think it's more of a, like, again, it equates interest, value, and validation.
Well, I also think it's totally normal, though, to want, like, even though I don't use social media that often, whenever I do post something, like, for example, I've posted a few clips from my dance class in the last couple of months. And if nobody reacted, not that I'm posting it for a reaction, it's more of just like to share something that makes me happy. And that I think there are other people who have commented and been like, where are you taking these classes? This looks like so much fun.
Right. And I'm not trying to call you out, but you are.
That's my point of saying this. I'm saying even someone who doesn't use social media that often, who, I don't think it's not a regular part of my life to go on social media and share things. But when I do, of course, you'd be disappointed if no one reacted to it. And it was just like, that's the whole point of putting it out there.
Right. There it is.
It's true.
Yes. That is the point. And that is when people say to me, I don't put this on social media for anybody else but myself. You're full of shit. Like, you are just full of shit.
Then it being on your camera roll would be enough.
Yes, then leave it in your photo roll. Like, leave it in, like it just for something of personal use inside of your phone or your computer. The whole point of social media is to share things.
That's the social aspect, is
right.
People reacting to it.
So, like, it's kind of twofold. Like, if I say, you're not putting it on social media for any other reason but to, get some sort of a reaction, whether it be positive or negative or neutral, whatever. The whole point of social media is the social interaction. So when I hear people say like, oh, I don't put it on there for anybody else but myself, and it's just a good place for me to store my photos, so if anything happens to my phone. I'm sorry, you're wrong. You're wrong. That's not true.
Well, I think there are sometimes that people have a hashtag for something in particular. Like, I know people who have hashtags for like all the photos of their child or something, or like for a wedding. People have a hashtag for a wedding. Yeah. And it condenses everything into one place that's easy to find, and you have all your photos from that event or that thing.
Then make a Google Drive.
Yeah, I suppose. I'm just saying it's just another way that people have things, almost like to organize it, but that's not the same thing.
Use a Google Drive. This is my point. Like, it's okay to admit I want people to see it.
But if there are multiple people, like, so what do you think about wedding hashtags? Because there are multiple people taking pictures, and then they can all share them and all see them, and it could be anyone from the event. You know what I mean?
I think that's a shared thing, right? So, like, if you were at the event and you want to see photos from like a different angle,
just make a Google Drive for your wedding.
A shareable one?
I don't know.
I can't. So this is the limit.
You'd have to share it with like 100 people.
But that's what I'm saying. Can you do that? And can you make it so that other people can upload the pictures to that?
Maybe, but we're even struggling just talking this out right now. Like, that would be so. I'm just saying, like, do you see the value in it for stuff like that?
No, because I don't agree with the notion that, like, all right, so for us, like we said, we don't upload pictures of our child to social media. So it's more like, people will say, and again, this is not wrong. It's just people will say like, oh, I don't want, it's not necessarily for everybody on my Facebook, list or my Instagram list to see. It's more like of a convenient avenue or medium for like my mom to see or my aunt to see or whatever. And I'm just like, well, why don't you just text it to them? And again, I'm not trying to argue. It's just a counterpoint. Like, hey, what, maybe if that's not the case, if you don't care about other people seeing it, or if it's not specifically meant for those other people and they're specifically geared towards immediate family members, just text it to them. And they say, well, that's so inconvenient.
It is.
I'm just saying, no, come on now. Like, what?
No, it's just,
we're tapping on the phone.
No, it's so much easier to just put it on if there's an existing platform where everyone is already there and they're already checking it on a regular basis, it's not the same. But I think you can change your settings. I think
you can,
you can make it so that you have certain posts that are
but
only seen.
How much more difficult is that
I'm
compared to texting it to someone?
Listen, because I'm saying if you can set your account up with those settings ahead of time so that every time you share, I don't know if there's a way to do that, or if you have to do it on every post.
I think you have to do it on every, so like you can set your posts to be that, so there'll be that for everything.
Well, you could also make a private group and post your pictures in a private group where only certain people, which is basically like the
so this is
app
where
that we
Tiny
use.
Beans comes.
Yeah.
Like that's exactly what Tiny Beans
pretty
is.
much.
So we upload our, so I should say it maybe sounds more of like a contradiction right now or hypocrisy, but we do upload our pictures to this app called Tiny Beans, and it's literally geared towards having pictures of the baby and our child specifically for those that we want to see. You literally have to be invited by us to access these pictures, and you cannot share them. They are completely unshareable. So even if you wanted to, there's no button to say share to Facebook. You can't do it. The most you can do is download it and then upload it to Facebook. But then again, that's exactly the same thing as texting it to someone. So again, it's you're removing that whole inconvenient thing that's just as inconvenient. So for me, it's just kind of like we do recognize that it is 2020, and social media is a big thing, and it's very convenient for people to have this. So we invited our immediate family, say, hey, download this app. You literally have to do nothing, and you'll be notified every time we upload a picture of our child.
And you can comment and like on it, and like it just like on.
Yeah, and if people want to download the app, not listening, but like those that we invited that wanted to download the app. If you don't, you don't. Like for me, it's like that is the thing. Like I don't care who wants to or who does not want to see pictures of my child, because my expectation is I don't think anyone does or should give a shit about our child as much as you and I do. And that is to be expected.
Yeah.
That is the whole thing. So
yeah,
like
I heard you saying that in my head today when I was actually thinking today we took a funny video. We had a really hilarious FaceTime with her and her Pepe.
Mm-hmm.
And
you can say your dad.
Yeah, my dad.
Yeah.
Well, and yeah, I was thinking the belly laughs that she was just going on, and it, to me, it's the cutest thing I've ever seen, and it brings me so much happiness. And for a split second, I was thinking, like, in the midst of everything that's going on, putting this out there, if we didn't approach social media the way that we do, and we were posting things like this, like, wow, this would bring people a lot of joy. Like, people could use some baby laughs right now, And then I'm thinking, I heard you say that in my head. Nobody is going to care about this as much as I do. And
no, but that's
people
not to say
might think
people
it's
don't
cute,
care.
but
like people would probably like to see it, but it's not. They're not going to have the same sort of
reaction
emotional
or
impact as we
right.
will.
Yeah,
and it's not. I don't think people should.
But that's also not to say, though. On the other hand, see, I go back and forth because I'm like, when I see pictures or videos of our nephews or my friends' kids or whatever, and I see an adorable picture or a hilarious video, it totally does make me happy, and I'm glad that I saw it.
Right, but that's, again, you don't at all, and I'm not saying you're going to, try to counter this point. You don't care about that child as much as the parents do.
Of course not,
right.
But that doesn't mean it, yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, to me, that this is the third fold of the social media thing. I was saying it was 3 layers. This is the third thing. Like,
so what were your first 2?
The first was the diddler.
Okay, and then the
self-confidence,
validation, narcissism type confidence
and like
thing.
no
Okay.
one gives a shit. Like that's the thing. Like no one cares. Like that's fine. Like I don't anticipate.
I have one more to add.
Right, perfect. But like I don't think people should care. Like again, like if someone says like I don't know, if someone doesn't, if I say, oh, so, I don't even talk about what my daughter does or doesn't do really to people because, like, I don't know, it's sort of private. It's sort of, like I am a super private person, very, very private.
So let's talk about our whole lives on a podcast.
Well, we're not. Like, we're not getting into specifics. We're just sort of like, you know, parents that may be struggling or having these sort of conversations about social media. This may sort of help space it out a little bit, but for me it's more like I'm super private when it comes to like the deep and, you know, intricate parts of my life, and when it comes to my child, that's very, very personal to me. So like it vocalizing that and saying these things out loud and telling stories sort of robs that the precious ownership of it for me. And then it's just sort of like spreading and it's becoming open. And to me, I don't like that. That makes me feel very uncomfortable.
I don't know if I mean, I can understand what you're saying. I see where you're coming from. And it makes sense knowing you and how you are. I don't know that I feel that way.
You don't have to.
No, I know. But I still get it. And so the fourth reason that I would add is about autonomy. And the fact that she doesn't have that right now. And I don't think we know how it's going to play out because no one in our generation has dealt with this in terms of having our parents have that option.
That's not true.
No one in their 30s, our parents didn't have social media to share pictures of us as kids.
No, not
That's
our age, but like there are kids.
Yes, just coming up now who are becoming
even
adults.
Earlier, even in like...
How long has Facebook been around? Like 20 years?
You have to consider MySpace too.
Oh, God.
I'm just saying, like, no, like, so MySpace became big in like 2003. That's when it blew up. 2000, like I was a junior in high school. That's when it like started.
Right.
So 2003.
I joined Facebook when I went to college, and that was when it was still, you had to have a college email address, and it had only been around for a few years. So yeah, I guess, right, we're just starting to see the impacts of
even earlier. Like consider those that are teenagers that in like 2017. So I guess it just
that's what
starting.
I mean. I'm just starting. I mean, like within the past few years, there are young adults or teenagers who
that are like,
were
I wish you never did that.
Babies when their parents posted their pictures and they have embarrassing pictures or videos or whatever. And even if it's not something that's, something that most people would say is embarrassing, it might just be something that, like you're saying about having some sense of things being special. Or
that's me. Like so if those children as teenagers at like say age 17, we'll just say 2002, so 15. If this is 2017, we're talking about when this first started happening. We're like, their mom's like, hey, or mom or dad was like, hey, I want to upload this picture of you as a baby. And the son or daughter was like, don't do that. Like, don't. That's me. That's my picture. It's a picture of me. I don't want that up. The parents, I would hope, would say, okay, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, technically, they're under 18, but it's the parents' choice and it's their responsibility. But I still think your child deserves the autonomy and the...
Right. If our daughter was 17, was like, please don't put that up on me, I'm not going to say, no, I'm doing this because
I'm not saying that the normal, that the typical person would. I'm just...
That's so fucked up.
I'm pointing out things that you would say as a super analytical person.
Right, and that would make you an asshole.
Right.
If you were like, I'm still going to do it.
I don't care. Yeah.
But like, for me, yeah, that's a good point. So it's more... like let the individual decide when to put it, and moreover, let the individual decide let the individual realize what it's like to regret to put up even if it's a completely innocuous picture.
Oh God, I can't stand Facebook memories. that go back to like,
I delete them.
it's like 2006. And I'm like, why did I write this? And
Yeah.
it's so funny too, because it's back to when Facebook statuses started with is.
Yeah, Adam Corsair yeah.
And everything. But now that's not there. So,
Right.
so
So
they
it's
make
just an
no
incomplete
sense.
statement. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm super embarrassed by my own Facebook memories just by statuses I made. Never mind like, and that is so minimal compared to some things that people post.
Right.
And
So
regret.
let our child learn to reflect and be like, I was stupid. Like I literally so I deleted the Facebook app off my phone. And in order for me to access Facebook, I actually have to go to facebook.com. It was a good way to remove a distraction and mundane scrolling, even though I do that on Twitter
Exactly.
all the time.
But
like,
you do it on Facebook too sometimes.
that's what I'm saying. So like when I go to the website, I'll do it, but I'll
So
go to on
what's
this
the
day.
difference?
It's not often though. So like I'll go to on this day, and it's not to reflect on memories. It's literally, what am I deleting today?
Yeah.
That's what it is. Like, what stupid shit did I say years ago that I'm just going to delete today?
Right. Right.
Because I learned, like, you know, I'm 34 right now, and I'm thinking to myself, even stuff that I said 2 years ago, I'm like, why did I put this on there?
Mm-hmm.
Like, no one cares. No one cares. Like, no one cares about this. I shouldn't even care about this. So why do I even put it up? So like, basically, I want to give my daughter an opportunity to learn how to have that sort of reflection and be like, oh, no, what was I doing? Why did I do that? And if I put it up, she can't necessarily, because she can't actively delete that. She can remove herself from it in terms of a tag, but she can't delete the post. I would have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, there's a value of being like, no, let our daughter make her social media mistakes. Hopefully they're just innocuous mistakes. I'll leave it at that. But like, you know, let her reflect on it and learn from it herself.
I don't know if I want to use the term criticism, but one of the things that we have heard is that, you know, we think some people might view our decision as trying to protect her from technology, which we know is not going to happen, and that's not something that we want.
She watches TV.
Exactly, it's not something that, it's not the intention. It's not one of the reasons that we've listed 4 things that we've considered, and protecting her from technology is not on that list, and it's unrealistic and unnecessary. It's more for us. It's just more about protecting her autonomy and letting her do it on her own terms and in her own way.
Well, even if you think about it, most people our age were sort of raised the same, right? There was no, it's not like my mom printed out 4x6s from a Polaroid and made 30 copies.
4x6s from a Polaroid.
Yeah, so like a Polaroid disposable camera, and then like
I thought you meant like an actual Polaroid.
No, like a Polaroid disposable camera.
Yeah.
Got 4x6s
Yeah.
and made 30 copies of it and just distributed it to random people.
Well, no, not to random people.
Right,
but it got mailed in Christmas cards
but that is
or
the
whatever.
equivalent of tiny beans.
Yeah, I suppose.
'Cause
But
you're mailing them
Christmas
to
cards went to everybody you knew.
Sure, but I'm saying like
and a
in
lot
terms
sometimes
of,
that had a family photo.
I'm saying more of just like everyday memories type of, not like set up in a
Well,
Sears
there's no way, right? Like
hallway.
your mom was not still connected to a guy that sat behind her in geometry in 10th grade, like we are on Facebook. You know, like
No.
that wouldn't have gone in the mail.
But it's not like she's giving it to her coworkers, right? And if you put that shit on Facebook, it's like you're sharing it with your coworkers.
I mean, I guess it depends on if you're
No,
close
I'm
to
saying just like regular coworkers that you're just obligatory friends with on Facebook.
I guess, yeah.
You know, like not because you actually care about them, but like it's more
How
like
many of your coworkers are you friends with on
none,
Facebook?
just one.
Just one. Mm-hmm.
I think so. Obviously, he knows who he is, but
right, and he's not just a coworker.
No, but like he is a coworker at the
Right.
same time. But like it's just one.
Yeah.
That's by design too, just one.
Yeah.
And And
You're
it's
such a warm and friendly colleague.
no, I have told people our friendship ends at 4:30. I clock in, we're friends. I tell that to my boss. Like, we're not friends yet. I'm not clocked in. And I clock in. I say, okay, we're friends. We only have like an hour of friendship per day that we use periodically. And then even though I'm there for 8.5 hours, and then come 4:30, I say we're no longer friends.
It's so funny because of all the like team building stuff that
I don't have
my
that.
colleagues are trying to do. I know. I'm just that you just came to an event for me for work of a year-long leadership class that I took, and one of the things I was working on was team building. And
Listen,
you're exactly the kind of person who holds us back from
I
being
have no
successful and that
time.
kind of stuff.
I have no time for more friends. Like the thought of having legitimately more people, obviously with the quarantining right now, you can't. But
Well, I was going to say our quarantine isn't much different from our
this is
normal
my
life.
I was prepared for this for my entire life. But like, in terms of interacting with people on a physical basis every day, I don't have a desire or time. I don't have time. Like, whatever. I digress.
Yeah. Anyway.
But when it comes to like my mom when I was growing up and my dad when I was growing up, we had photo albums. And like, to me, like, this
I love looking through photo albums.
and that robs the ability to have photo albums now because they're all just digital. And like, I get it, we're in a different time, but like, that was something that was special, and only certain individuals had the access to look at those memories.
Right.
And
The novelty of that is totally worn off when you have all of your family memories posted online.
For anybody,
yeah.
For those people that you're not really friends with at work, like obviously, if I had like a party or something at my house and they happen to stumble upon it, I'm not going to be like, get your mitts off that. But I'm going to, like, people that I'm close to with the photo album, I'll be like, oh, yeah, let's look. If you want to, let's look. Like,
right. Well, I was even thinking about it from, we've been together long enough to...
I mean, we have a photo album.
Yep. And, but I'm thinking, like, when we were younger... and you start dating someone and it's like a big deal when they come to your family's house and you look through the photo album and they show your, the parents show baby pictures of you.
Same thing with videos and
to
stuff.
Your new, boyfriend or girlfriend or partner or whatever. And, that's now you don't have to go to the parents' house and look at the photo albums to see the baby pictures.
Well, they will for us.
Well, they will. Right. I'm saying looking forward. Because so the generation now and in the last few years has their childhood posted on Facebook, that's, the person who you're dating, all they have to do is go back and look at your Facebook and your baby pictures and all your childhood pictures are just there.
They've already accessed it.
They're already there. Yeah.
They've already accessed it before you even probably went to the house.
Oh, yeah. They totally Facebook stalked
That's
you
what
before
I'm
you.
saying.
Yeah.
The novelty
They've seen
is worn
everything.
off. That's it. And I guarantee you, I promise you, hopefully, anybody, that if you're interested in person X and you become friends with them on Facebook and person X has already seen all the old pictures of you from like high school, and I guarantee you that person does not give a shit about those photos the most. They care about the most recent ones. And that's the thing. So like when it comes to us, if you're in like a close relationship, like for me it's kind of sacred to be like, hey, you want to look at my pictures from my childhood? There's something like, I don't know, maybe sacred's not the right word, but it's like that's not accessible to other people.
It's personal,
Yes.
sentimental,
Yes.
nostalgic. Yeah, I get it. Again, that's just our preference. We just happen to be very sentimental, nostalgic people, and I've always loved photo albums. I don't know if other people feel the same way. Maybe there's not a huge loss.
We should say we don't have a photo album for our child.
My mom does.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, she's been putting in her baby pictures for a while.
But we don't have one. But we have pictures printed.
We have Tiny Beans.
Right, but like, okay,
that's our digital photo album.
That's another thing. So like when she's old enough, if she wants to distribute, they're both the same word, that to other people, she can. But that's up to her, who she wants to access that to.
But you're right. We really did slack on the whole photo album thing.
We
had one for her first year.
Didn't we buy one?
Yeah, it was like my first year photo album, and I think I put like 2 pictures in it. And
we could always...
I did one you had bought me one for my pregnancy too. It was called the Belly Book. Sure. And I did a few things in there, but for someone who loves photo albums so much, I really did slack on that.
Right. Well, it doesn't matter because
well, it's easy to slack on it because they're They
They're
are
in
there.
your phone.
They're digital.
But the thing, they're in my phone, so they're not going anywhere. My phone's backed up to the cloud, which I pay $1 a month to Apple to give me a terabyte. Not a terabyte, something extra. I also pay $1 a month to Google to give me a terabyte. So all that stuff is
and
back,
it's on Tiny Beans.
it's backed up
online
threefold. So it's not going anywhere, and it's still not accessible to anybody else that I don't want it to be accessible to. And quite frankly, I don't want it to be accessible to really anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But like, so tying this up, really, like the general consensus amongst our peers, amongst is not a word. Among our peers.
Amongst is a word.
No, it's not.
What?
I don't think it is.
I'm pretty sure it is.
I don't think it is.
No. Google.
OMONGST. Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah.
That's strange because they always give me a red underline when I write it down.
Nope.
It doesn't matter. All right, so the general consensus amongst our peers is that like we are, I don't want to say the anomaly, but we are of the minority.
We're the minority, yeah.
And that's okay. Like this is more of a personal preference. No one is right or wrong.
And I also think, we're not going to. There have been certain situations that presented themselves as, time has gone on with, her being involved in certain activities or even at her daycare.
Yeah,
they
we won't allow pictures.
Right. We said no social media for daycare because they do take pictures and post them to their Facebook page, which is a public page. And it'd be different, I think, if it was a closed group that was only open to the families of the daycare. But it's public. And so we said we opted out of that. But
No. Yeah.
and they send us pictures, they'll just text us pictures every now and then so that we still get to see them. But we're not going to like police that to the point where, there are some pictures on there where she's in the background. She's not in she's not the focus of the picture. Same thing like when she goes to birthday parties or even when she's at her dance classes, if we have a friend who takes a picture and she's in it or she's like in the background, like I don't think that's going to get harder and harder to control as she gets older. But I think that's going to happen at the same time that she's developing her autonomy to be okay or be able to have an opinion about whether or not the picture is posted. Like she's not going to be too young to do that for very long.
It's also going to take us to acknowledge it like on social media to call attention to it and to make it be a thing. So in other words,
right.
like if we're at...
That's what I was saying before about the whole like foundation and setting just the general...
I'm just going to ignore it. That's the thing. Like,
right. If we're not drawing attention to it on a regular basis, then it's just not going to be a thing.
Yeah, just don't tag me in it because I don't care. Like, I'm sorry. Like, just don't.
But like, she's not even gonna know. Like, if a friend
Right.
from dance class posts a picture and it has her in it, like, if we don't show, like, she's not gonna understand. Like, it's not gonna be a part of her normal day to day to like go and check social media and see her pictures on social media.
Right. Yeah, I think that, if you, this isn't meant to be like an argumentative type of us versus the world kind of thing. It's just like there are parents out there that we have talked to that we have, expressed this to upon request. It's not like we were just like, hey, this is our stance, you should do it too. It was more like it was sort of discussed and we brought up everything that you guys just heard. And they're like, yeah, like that's interesting. And it's more like we don't really operate that way. We want to share it, and that's totally fine.
Right.
Like,
And everyone's been very respectful and understanding.
Yeah. There's been no pushback.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
and that's great.
Good.
But like, it's more that if you are struggling with how to handle, because before our daughter was born, I used to go to Predaddit on Reddit. Great subreddit. If you're a dad and you're listening to this and you're expecting.
He's wearing his dad's shoes.
I am. Nike Air Monarchs. They're so comfortable. If you're expecting, go to Predaddit on Reddit. It's beautiful. There was discussions about how to handle social media. Like people made private Google photo albums, which is like anybody can upload it in real time, sort of like what we're doing with Tiny Beans. And that's how I discovered Tiny Beans. And I was like, hey, this is sort of the direction I would like to go. So, there are people out there that share our point of view on this, but if you don't, that's totally cool. Like this isn't meant to be a holier than thou sort of expose on, how we're handling our child.
Yeah. But I think it also, definitely goes both ways, because there have been some not where people are being disrespectful, but I think people just this is such a foreign concept. I think it's so normal and expected, and it's like something that a lot of people don't think twice about, which again, totally okay. But I think it takes people by surprise, like when we announced her birth, that there was no photo, and
Right.
a lot of people commented and were like, where's the picture? Post a picture. And first of all, not a priority right after you have a baby. Like,
But that is literally the ultimate. Look at this. Stop what you're doing and look at this.
I don't think that's what people are saying when they post a picture of their new baby. I think they're excited and they're proud and they want to share their joy with everyone.
I don't
because
know.
it's the happiest moment of your life. Like, it's hard, like, especially for people, if you share everything, like, okay, yeah, I keep saying this as like, I don't mean to, like, I don't know. I like, if you share what you had for breakfast and you think that that's worth it, like, that's worthy of sharing on social media. Imagine how you're going to feel when you have a child. Like, oh, of course you're going to post that if you're a regular social
But again,
media
this
user.
brings me back to point 3. A lot of people just don't give a shit.
I know that, but that's not the world we live in. Like, people live in a world where it's normal to post random shit that nobody else cares about, but like, that's just what you do. That's how people operate. It's just
so foreign to me.
well, that's why I said at the beginning of this that, you know, neither of us are really heavy social media users, so
I am when it
it's
comes
kind
to
of
basketball.
natural. Well, yeah, but that's a specific thing, and because you have a podcast related to it and you interact with people regularly about a specific topic, like, that's different. I'm saying people who it's a habit, it's part of their lifestyle to post things on social media on a regular basis, and that's how they interact with others. And to expect someone who, you know, that's just part of their life to not post, like, why wouldn't they post something that significant?
I can't answer that because I just don't understand it.
Right. And it's a totally different approach to things. I completely agree. But,
You know, when we got married, that was literally the last moment of our lives that we posted something personal on.
it's so true. I literally, my Facebook profile picture was the picture from our wedding for like 3 or 4 years.
Right. And like ever since then, like it's just been sharing, you know, stuff for the other podcast. Or like a celebration that Tom Brady's gone. And, but that's literally it. And like when the Raptors
That's
won
just
the
because you want to
championship.
start shit.
When the Raptors won the
Mhm.
championship, like I think I posted a bunch of exclamation points or something. But like it's very rarely do I post stuff on Facebook. Twitter, I'm starting to get a little bit more open, but when it comes to our child, I don't think that will ever change. And that's the last thing. Like the adjustment is just something that we're going to adjust on. We'll adjust when she makes us adjust.
Well, that's what I was saying about it's going to be, as she gets older, there's going to be more situations where it's a group thing or a birthday party or a dance recital or whatever it is, where there's group pictures and she's going to be in the pictures, and there's going to be friends that we have who are tagging her, you know.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying more of like if we're taking pictures in the age in which she is using whatever form of social media,
where she can okay it and she's
it's
her
say,
decision.
I want that to
But
be
that's what I'm
uploaded.
saying. I'm saying even with the point is what I'm saying right now, when she's this young, it's not a challenge it's not as much of a challenge to not post pictures of her, because she's not doing as many of those group things. Like, she's just starting to get into things like that, like doing dance classes and whatnot. But as she gets older, those types of things are going to increase, but that's going to happen at the same time that her autonomy and ability to make those decisions and be aware of whether or not she wants her picture to be posted, those things are going to happen in tandem, parallel to one another.
Yeah, maybe. So at that point, like we'll have to adjust for her, but I'm still not going to post them.
Yeah, I guess I'm just thinking more of like if she goes to a friend's birthday party when they're like 5 or 6 years old, and
still don't know,
our friends post a picture of all of the kids together, and it's not her birthday.
No. She'll, at that point, it's out of our control. I'm saying if she's like, upload that. And I'm going to still say no.
Well, that's not autonomy then.
Because, no, autonomy is she wants it uploaded.
You
She'll
just said
upload it.
no. If she's 5 and she's not going to have a
care
Facebook.
about Facebook
I'm saying,
at
but if
5.
she said, right, so that's what I'm.
So she's not going to request to upload it. I'm saying like if she comes at a age of somewhat sound reasoning, and I'm using that very generously to a 13-year-old, and she's 13 and she's like, I want that picture that you took to, and I'm going to upload it, I'll say okay. Because again, this rewinds back.
She's going to have her own Facebook by then.
That's what I'm saying, or whatever it is, whatever medium there is.
Right.
Like I'm going to rewind back to when I said I want her to learn to regret to put stuff up. If I'm uploading it, she can't delete it. Right? So, like, if she wants to upload it and then later on down the line, years from then, she's like, why did I upload that? That's stupid. She has the ability to delete it. I don't want to give her the extra step to contact me and say, remove that.
I think that's going a little far down the rabbit hole.
I'm very prudent.
Okay.
I think
that's not the word I would use.
I think 10 steps ahead, so I'm prepared for the previous 9.
I know. You overanalyze every hypothetical. Yeah, you do that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So if she wants to put it up, she can do it.
So how are you going to approach it when she's like 6 years old and at a friend's birthday party?
I'm going to say, here's some cake.
No,
and then
but
she's
like,
not going to care anymore.
But if there are pictures and everybody else is uploading it and looking at the picture or whatever, like, well, I don't even, as I'm saying this, like, she's not even going to.
She's not going to care to look.
Right. Well, she's not going to be like, Mom, Dad, why didn't you upload this picture when my friend's mom uploaded this picture?
I don't think she's going to care. I don't think she's going to care.
Right. And we keep going back to the original point that I made about the setting the foundation and just like having it's not going to be a thing. Like, it's not a thing. Like, we don't take...
Again, when I was 5, 6 years old, I did not care about what pictures my parents were putting in the photo album. I just cared about looking at the photo album.
Right. Yeah.
That's it. Like, I didn't, probably when I was 5 or 6 years old, I didn't realize I could put stuff in the photo album. I was just like, oh, it's there. Like, I think we give the cognition abilities of little toddlers way too much credit and think
they're more observant than you think.
I'm not saying they're not observant. I just don't think they care.
Yeah, but talking about setting the tone and setting expectations and just generally how we approach social media. She doesn't right now. She knows if one of us is sitting there staring at our phone, or both of us, she knows that we're sitting there staring at our phone. She doesn't have the cognition to know what we're looking at right now, but that's going to set a precedent for being attached to your phone, which is going to quickly translate to social media as she gets older. She's going to understand that that's what we're doing.
But I don't necessarily disagree with that direction. I don't necessarily disagree.
I don't think you should be sitting on your phone scrolling through Facebook or Twitter or Daddit.
I don't necessarily
at the dinner table
disagree with the notion that that's where we're heading anyway, and that's a. I do. I'm not willing to die on that hill.
No, I disagree. I think it's inevitable. Everyone is addicted to their devices. Everyone is on their phone very often, but including me. But I think it's totally reasonable to have set parameters around, like, when we sit down to eat dinner, we're not going to be dicking around on our phone.
All right.
And we're going to have a half an hour where we sit there and talk to each other and we're not distracted by our phone. I don't think that's unreasonable. And I don't think that that's, impossible, even in, the world of having our phones all the time and having social media.
She doesn't really call for the phone only to look at pictures of herself.
Exactly. Yeah, which is the irony of this whole conversation.
So all she cares about is looking at pictures of herself.
Yeah, videos and pictures of herself. Every time she sees one of us on our phone, she asks to look at pictures of herself.
But what I'm saying, she doesn't have a desire to like mess around with the phone. Right.
Well, we don't have tablets. She doesn't like play games.
Device.
Right. And I think she's starting to really blur the lines between things that are, right now because of the coronavirus and how we're doing way more screen time. I think everyone is than we normally would, which is completely fine. This is an extenuating circumstance, but she's been doing so much virtual interaction with people and, virtual dance classes and FaceTiming with people. But then we've also been, there are times where she's got to sit down and watch a movie or watch TV for a little while. And I don't think she understands the difference between a recorded thing, a movie or something, versus
that's fine,
someone being, but it's just hilarious because
Yeah.
she tries to like when I watch, we put on a virtual field trip to the zoo and the giraffes are there and she thinks that she's FaceTiming with the giraffe like she does with one of her grandparents. Like she
That's
doesn't
fine.
understand the difference.
Let
And
her
it's really
pretend.
funny. I know.
All right. To put a bow on it, it's very important that if you do want to share pictures with your child on whatever social media platform that you choose, that's totally fine. Like I'm not trying to call anybody else or anybody's parenting. Like this is not bad parenting if you decide to do that at all. I just disagree with it, and that's fine. Like that doesn't make anybody right or wrong. I just disagree. Like like I said, I'm a very, very, very private person, and I think that bled into the veins of my wife a little bit. And
Well, I think it just I don't think it's as shocking for us to take this approach because, like I said before, we already don't use social media that much for our own,
for personal,
right? Like,
besides this,
yeah. But I think it was kind of a natural progression. Like it's not that big of a leap for us to not constantly post pictures. Like we don't constantly post on social media anyway. So to not post pictures of her she's another part of our life, and we don't post a lot of our lives on social media, including her. I mean, it's not a huge difference from how we've always operated.
I get those notifications on Facebook. You might want to update your Facebook profile. Fuck out of here. Not updating my Facebook profile picture. I think that was from
like once a year.
2012 or something.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Oh yeah, it was
I'm
the
not,
one you have right now.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm not uploading.
I
it.
updated mine.
No.
It was time.
I don't care. I do not care. Like I literally the only reason why I have Facebook and I didn't deactivate the account is for specific chat rooms in which I found out that you don't necessarily need a Facebook account to still be in
There's chat rooms on Facebook?
Messenger.
Oh, okay. Chat room.
My fantasy football league.
I know, just chat room. It seems like a very like
Whatever. You know what I mean?
2000s term.
The chat. We
The
just call
Facebook
it.
chat.
It's ubiquitous to those in the football league. It's called the chat. So like it's.
I'm thinking like ASL
No,
chat
no,
room.
No. So like, it's been brought to my attention that you don't need a Facebook account to do that anymore. But secondly, I am contractually obliged to maintain a certain level of social media presence on Facebook with the other podcast that I do. So until that runs out, maybe I'll reevaluate. But I don't use it for personal. And if you do, that's totally cool. Like I don't. I'm telling you, I don't even notice because I don't care. I'm not on there. So like, do you. I don't care.
You're too cool for Facebook.
I just don't care. So anyways, that's episode 1. Are you still nervous?
I mean, you let me drink my wine, so I feel better.
Good.
He was afraid it was going to be annoying of me drinking while we were recording.
I did not say that. I just don't want to hear.
No, I think it was fine.
That was fine. You did great.
Thanks.
Great job. Probably heard our daughter in the background in the beginning, but that's okay too. So I don't know when the next episode is going to be. We'll probably do it next weekend. But if you like what you heard, subscribe to the show. We're on a lot more podcast platforms now. I think the last time I saw it, we were on 5 podcast platforms. I know we're on Apple Podcasts. I know we're on Google Podcasts. I know we're on Spotify. I know we're not on Stitcher quite yet. We're on Castbox. We're on Overcast. We're on Pocket Cast. We're on Radio Public. And we upload our stuff to Anchor. So all you have to do is search While She's Napping, subscribe to whatever platform you use, and if you're using Apple Podcasts, please give us 5 stars and a quick review. It would help us out a lot.
And on Twitter at She's Napping Pod.
Yeah. You can interact with us there. I get asked if we're doing an Instagram. Obviously, this should, cover. No, we're not doing an Instagram.
We're not going to do an Instagram?
Well, because then we're just... Anything that we're going to post on Instagram, we would just post to our personal stuff, and we're not going to post to our personal stuff as we just covered.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe we'll get more adept at social media.
If you want to argue with our points and tell me how much of an asshole I am on Twitter,
if I didn't do that enough.
That's fine. I welcome that. But,
me too. Let's hear it.
Until then, thanks for listening.
Bye.